What up, Shredder? It's Christian from Shred School. I remember that glorious day back in 1997, shredding down the Pennsylvania Hill on my Burton Chopper 122, launching off a mogul, spinning frontside 180, and landing switch. It was my first spin ever, and it's one of the easiest spins to do on flat ground, on moguls, or a small jump. It's the easiest spin trick on a snowboard and the first spin that most people learn. Today, we're going to talk about the frontside 180, which could be your first time spinning on a snowboard. If you want to make sure you never miss a video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit notifications right now, and go ahead and give this video a like. That's going to make sure you always get notified of new videos. The frontside 180 is a 180 degree spin where you take off regular, spin with your front facing down the mountain, and land switch. It's a 180 to the left for regular riders and to the right for goofy riders. For those of you that are new, a 180 is half of a 360 or half of a full spin, which means whichever stance you take off with will not be the same stance that you land with. And yes, that means landing switch. So before you learn the frontside 180, make sure to practice your ollies and riding switch. It doesn't do anyone any good to learn a 180 if they haven't practiced riding switch in order to ride away from the trick. And if you're pretty sketchy at riding switch and you're wondering, well, do I need to practice more switch? Go ahead and just take a few more switch runs before going for the 180. Okay, now you're ready to get started. First, we have the flat ground 180. So go ahead and just strap in at the base of the mountain, wind up your arms, crouch down low, spring off your legs, spin your shoulders, and jump. If you've done it right, you just did a 180. Now you should notice this is all in the shoulders. We spin with our shoulders, lead with the shoulders, and the legs will follow. If you can do that, it's time to bring it to the slopes. So it's going to help if we start on an edge. We're going to ride across the slope on our heel side edge and swivel around 180 so that you end up riding switch on your toe edge. This is a frontside 180 without leaving the ground. Practice this a couple of times and we're ready to add a small ollie. You're going to lean into your heels, give a small wind up with your arms by pulling the back, and use the power of your tail to pop. Open up your chest down the mountain, spin, and land on your nose to bring the trick around. You can even cheat it. You can do 90-degree spin and just land on that nose and bring the trick around. The key here is to spin with your shoulders again, and your board will naturally follow. You can start turning your shoulders frontside 180 before you've even left the ground. Go ahead and just open up your chest to face down the hill, and you can use your nose to pivot around. It's really easy to see how this works on a skateboard. Now, if you're having trouble getting this around, it may help to pull your front arm behind you during the spin. Once you've got the 180-degree spin dialed on flat ground and on the slope, it's time to take it to a jump. So we're going to use a light toe-to-heel approach. We're going to come up on the jump on the left side if we're regular on our toes, and we're going to switch to our heels just as we're coming up the ramp. Now you can also use a heel side hit as a substitute for a jump here. So it's going to work exactly the same. You should know we don't want to lean too far into our heels because this is only a 180. If we were doing a 540 or 720, we could lean much harder into our heels. But if we cut too hard on a 180, we're going to go off axis and we're going to spin too much. So keep your posture straight, stand up really tall, and keep your body weight above your board with just a slight heel edge. Now while you're in the air, you want to keep your weight centered over your back foot, but land nose heavy. So that's going to be your switch tail. So if you're regular, it's going to be, you want to land heavy on your left foot with your weight going over your right foot. That's going to make sure we land leaning down the landing without going over the tip of our snowboard. Now if you're wondering, should you land flat based, heel side edge, toe side edge, I recommend you land flat based or slightly on your toe side edge. Ride out of this trick switch and hit the next feature switch. Now let me repeat that. Get in the habit of hitting the next feature with the same stance as you land. Nothing says amateur more than someone who reverts. That means you spin back around to regular as soon as they land because they can't ride out switch. Okay, your line's going to be much smoother if you can just go ahead and hit that next feature switch. So that's the frontside 180. It's super fun. It's incredibly easy to do on a small jump, a side hit, on the run, off a mogul, whatever. But it's quite a bit harder to do over bigger jumps. The challenge once the jump gets a little bigger is to not spin too much. You can do frontside 180s out of 50-50s. You can do frontside 180 onto a grind. I like to tail press frontside 180 out. Remember, this trick is all in the shoulders. Watch the shoulders on these tricks. You can do this trick switch. That's also called a half cab, so that we're landing regular. Although I recommend you start with the regular frontside 180 and you can learn to half cab next. You want to master this trick, as this landing motion is the exact same motion you use to land switch backside 360s, frontside 540s, switch backside 720s, and frontside 900s. So that's it, the frontside 180, the first spin that I learned, the 180-degree spin with your front facing down the mountain. Take off on your heels, give it a little wind up, ollie, and come around to switch. Ride out switch and hit the next feature switch, like a true shredder. Go give the frontside 180 a shot. Let us know how it goes. That's all for today. Peace out, Shredder.